Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge.
That's right.
Started out on 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohanan. And since 1969, we've been teaching that we are the chosen people of the Most High. Let's clap it up for the Most High. I am Priest and Officer Sha'afwan. Joining me today is Officer 5000 Yatazar.
That's right.
Holding the Hebrew class down for Priest and Officer 5000 Hazahab. So this is going to be a review of what we went a few months ago, the fundamentals of the Holy Tongue. We're going to go into it again as far as the prepositions and the possessive adjectives. Now we're going to get there eventually, but I want to teach you from the very beginning how to write and read Hebrew. So we're going to start from the very basics again, as if you've never seen it before, and we'll go up to more of the advanced stuff. So we were taught English, and English is read and written from left to right. That's 26 letters in the English alphabet. So Hebrew is written from right to left. And according to our Google AI, the origin of writing from left to right can be traced back to the ancient Greeks, who after initially writing from right to left, like the Phoenicians, that eventually translated to a left to right script. Okay? And in the book by Yale University, let's see this book here, called Biblical Hebrew Text and Workbook. And you can see it's Yale University. And I want to show you something on here. Slaki, can we see the chat? See if anyone's has any questions and stuff. We'll be able to see it. As I go along, please do post your questions in the chat.
Shalom, Adela Martinez.
Adela Martinez, thank you for joining us. So let's just start with the very basics of the Hebrew language, that we didn't just make this up out of nowhere. This has a very long history.
Can I say something?
Yes, you may, sis.
You're doing very good.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Welcome, Adela Martinez. Putting a signing sheet in the chat. Let's make sure you sign in.
All right, so turning to page 3 here. I want y'all to see this. Let me know if it's in focus, sir.
It's focusing.
All right, cut off.
The Hebrew alphabet is the oldest in the world, still in use today. Our own alphabet is a descendant of it by a circuitous route. The text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development. Originally, only the consonants were used. By the time of the Israelite kingdoms, some consonants, Ya, Wa, Ha, were used to indicate certain vowels.
Okay, the water for that. So, as it says, the Hebrew alphabet is the oldest in the world. We are learning the original language. And it's been in constant development, as it said, and by these people that took our language and tried to make it their own and made it much more complicated. Notice it said that only consonants were used. So those vowel sounds that they attempted to add just made the language more complicated and weren't even there from the beginning. So that's the proof here. Make sure you see the book itself. Okay, Yale University came up with this. Yes.
I have that book.
You do?
Yes.
Read the book.
So read from page 3.
Yeah, page 3.
Okay. Okay.
So it's the very beginning of the book.
Okay.
So next, when you come to class, pick yourself up one of these sheets. Okay. It has the ancient and the modern Hebrew. All right. And as you see these letters, Try to see it on the screen. It's pronounced a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, cha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, qua, ra, sha, tha. These right here are the ancient characters, okay? And these here is the modern characters as we were in slavery and we came up with a different version. This is a lot harder to understand because it almost looks so similar to characters as they're drawn. You also see that there's secondary characters. Why? Because they had to make it even more complicated that when you use a certain letter at the end of a word, a different character is used, even though it's the same sound. So it's just a visual thing you have to pick up, but when you use the end of word, you can see that there's 5 extra characters. But I find when I learned this the first time, it really helped me when I saw people draw the characters, because it just helps it sink in. So I'm going to take the time and actually go through that. And I'm going to teach you a song, so how you can actually memorize that, because it's a lot of characters and you're like, okay, how do I do this? What I did personally, I like to use my fingers. So I memorized the sounds first, because you see, you have all these new characters. The first time you see it, you're like, what am I looking at? They're just symbols. You don't know the sound behind the symbol. So once you learn the sound first, just like we learned our original alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. As we go through the English, now we're going to do the same thing in the Hebrew. So learn the sound first. So I broke it down into using my hand, okay? So a, ba, ga, da, ha. Wa, za, cha, ta, ya. Ka, la, ma, na, sa. I, pa, ta, za. Qua, ra, sha, tha. Once you've mastered that part and you have all the sound down, you know how it sounds, then you can worry about the actual symbols how to draw. Okay, so I'm going to write this down. So this is a song that I created. And I broke it basically into letters and syllables. So as we do the sounds, a, ba, ga, da, ha. Wa, za, ha. Notice that extra sound I made. Ta, ya. Ka. It's a different sound than okay. Ka, la, ma, na, sa. I, pa, ta, za. This ta, za is the only one that has 2 syllables. Okay, but it's one character. And you have qua, ra, sha, and tha. So this is the way I broke it down into 5 sets, so I could count it essentially on my fingers. So you're going to see first it's 5 letters. So the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it also has 5 syllables. So as you learn a song, you're going to see a pattern evolves here. Then we have the next 5 letters. They also have 5 syllables. Then we have the next 5 letters. And it also has 5 syllables. See how we're making a nice pattern here? Next, we have 3 letters, but it has 4 syllables. The taza is only 1 letter, but it has 2 sounds to it, so 2 syllables. And then we do the last set here. You're going to see there's 4 letters, and there's also 4 syllables. So when you learn it like this, it's the way I came up with it. It was just easy for me to do this on my hand and fingers, and just learning the sounds. Let's see a pattern: 5 and 5, 5 and 5, 5 and 5. 3 letters, there's 4 syllables. Then you have 4 letters, also 4 syllables. So again, you get the song: Aba ga ga ha, waza ha ta ya, kalamana sa, I pa taza, quara sha. Just get the sound first. Next, we'll worry about how to draw these things, what they look like. But really focus on this part, because once you just can do what I just did there, you're on your way to actually speaking Hebrew language without even seeing the characters yet. You know the sounds and how it's actually pronounced. And you'll see it's very simple in the fact that essentially they all sound, the characters all have like an ah sound. So as in the first word, every character essentially has an ah sound following. So that's ah. Do you know the first one? Pretty much know how they all sound. They all have an ah sound. So you got a ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha. And I do this ha. It says there's something in my throat. Ha. And there's a ta and a ya. Then there's a ka. Notice they're 2 different things. They sound very similar. Okay. And you notice we're still doing this ah in all these. Ba, ma, na, sa. I, pa, ta, za, qua, ra, sha, da. So this right here, if you want to take a screenshot or a picture of this, this will help you memorize this. It'd be a good idea to do that. I'm going to take it myself. Hello, Bruce. Thank you for joining us. Young man Bruce in the house. So this is a good place to take a screenshot of learning the sounds. You can come right in front. Take a picture as well. Get 1, 2. Any questions so far?
No question.
Okay. If you have any questions at all, please add them to the chat and we will answer them as soon as we can. So,
I have a question. Okay, when y'all reading the Hebrew from the Bible on Saturday, are y'all reading it like this, or are you reading the symbol?
this is the English sound of them. We're reading the actual characters. But I'll show you what we do. I'll write it down. I go to the Bible Hub. .com, and I go to the interlinear section. I'll show you right now. So
Let's try it.
yeah, so if you go to BibleHub.com, because this is how you get into the actual practice of doing what we just did right now.
Okay.
So
I don't see mine.
all right, so you go to BibleHub.com, and then you click on interlinear,
Yeah,
which is the INT. Okay, and click on interlin if you'd like to share that, sir.
Interlinear.
Yep. And you click on the interlinear. And
Interlinear chapters versus what?
this is the first one.
Hebrew.
They put that in. There you go. So you can see the first one, Genesis 1:1. Yeah, you don't have to do that, sir. It's on the first page. Just click on interlin, please, and wait. Close down like that, please. Okay, hit the X. Okay, so is this being shared right now, sir? All right, excellent. All right, so here's the most famous beginning line. So we're going to go with the sounds. So we have ba, ra, a, sha, ya, da. So it's bara'ash yaf. That means in the beginning.
Okay.
Okay? And then you have a ba, a ra, and a ah. So that's bara'ah. That's created. Next one you have is alahayam, which is you have an ah, a la, a ha, a ya, and a ma. That's Elohim, or God. Then you have an af. You'll see that throughout. It's a joining phrase. Then you have ha, sha, ma, yam. So you'll see a ha, a sha, a ma, a ya, and a ma. That's the heavens. And then you have wa'af. You see a wa, an ah, and a tha. That's and ha, ah, ra, taza, the earth.
Okay.
Okay, so this right now is the modern. So we're going to cover both the ancient and we're going to cover the modern so you can see both of them because the Bible is preserved in the modern. So we don't have the ancient letters, but it's our tradition to learn the true language. Plus, it's a lot easier. So once you have the sounds down, we're going to put the letters to them, and you'll see how they work. So
This is beautiful.
it's really cool. So that's what I physically read from on the Sabbath, because if you have a Tanakh and you try to read it, it's so small, my eyes can't see it. And especially with the modern, it's very hard to distinguish it because it's so small, the letters. So what I do on my phone, I blow it up to like 150, 200%. So it's really big and I'm able to see it. So that's how I do it. Okay, so let's draw the actual symbols. So first, I'm going to do the ancient symbols.
And then you want to do the modern.
Then I'm going to do the modern. Because you're going to see how fast we're going to get the ancient. It almost comes natural to us because it is our real true language.
Yeah.
And you'll see it's so much simpler than the modern version.
Why
Why?
did they make it so complicated so people can't get it?
And they make it just like they changed it, as we saw in the book, that it went through a circuitous route of change, as the book said. So it says, and our alphabet is a descendant of it by a circuitous route. And the text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development, meaning they just messed with it. So let's just do the first modern, and you'll see how easy our language is. And you know what? When I first learned this, I'm like, this is God's language. It's so simple, it makes sense.
So they didn't want us to get the language.
Yeah, they had to make it more complicated and more sophisticated according to them. And then they try to add vowels to it. There's no vowels.
Right.
What I'm showing you now are all consonants.
Mm.
So as we draw
But
these,
isn't A a vowel?
yeah, in the typical English, it's considered that, but these aren't considered consonants.
Oh,
Same with the I. You know, it's like, is the I a vowel?
yeah.
You know, but these are considered consonants right here.
Oh,
So the
That's
typical
what
English A,
you-
E, I, O, and U, right? They add those vowels. You'll see in the modern, the Jewish, they put all these dots and dashes around that.
Mhm.
Just ignore all of that. You'll see that in the interlinear because they're attempting to make vowels out of it. And there weren't.
right.
And that's why Yiddish sounds different than the true Lashawan Qadash is what we're learning right here. Okay. So the amazing thing. Go ahead.
I see them speaking Yiddish on channel 24.
Yeah, they speak it everywhere. Pretty much ignore
But
it.
it's like good.
It's a totally unpure language. So we're going to teach you the pure language. It's this simple. It almost sounds like I posted a video of the lamb slaughter, and you heard the sheep going bah. It's literally that simple that an animal can speak this. It's the same sound. The exact same sound that the sheep is speaking. So as you're using the exact same sound throughout the language, there's no extra vowels in
So
here.
why
and
did it
different
take
things.
me 5 years?
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get it today. You're going to get it today. I teach it in a way that I break it down very simple. You know what I mean? So I created a song. Is this clear? Is there anything here that you didn't get yet? So now, these are just symbols that represent these sounds. We're going to go through next. Now, the symbols are actually pictograms. All right, so they represent something, which is really unique. So it's not just a random drawn character. The picture actually means something. Okay? So this, we're going to say, ah. So that is the first one. And you can see it actually looks like a cat. So if you had a cow, you turned it sideways. It's like a cow with the antlers. Ah is actually short for Allah, which is cow. So the pictures actually mean something. So when we go through these, we're going to break it down, the true origins, because we're a visual people. So once you understand the sound, the characters are visual as well. So that's why it makes it really simple to learn.
Did King David speak this?
I don't know exactly what he spoke, but this is the Hebrew language, so I would say he spoke the traditional pure language. He didn't speak Yiddish, for example.
No.
So I would say yes. Okay, so ah, ba. Okay, kind of looks like a B, and that actually is a tent. Then we have a ga, which looks like a camel, because it's actually short for gamal, which is a camel. Then you have the da, which is a triangle. So like when you're talking about David, that's the symbol for his name. Da, wada. So
That
yeah. And what is the da wada? Essentially took his name, da, another That's where our symbol came from.
Yay.
It's King David's signature. So that's where it comes from. And the da is Dalath, and it means door. Next, we have Hana, or Ha. Let me see, it's like this. Okay. Then we have the Wa, which is a fish hook. So draw it, it's a hook. Actually, that is in Ma. You go to the Wa. Sometimes when you learn these, you get confused because you're learning two different languages at the same time, so the symbols kind of they intermingle in a way when you're learning it. I do that occasionally. So what I try to do is stick to ancient first. So Wa, Za, which is Z, Cha. See this? It's actually a fence. Yep. And it's actually short for Kawama, which is a fence. The Za is actually short for Zion, which is a weapon. Right? Then we have the Ta, which is looks like an X with a circle. That right there is Tana'a, which is a basket. So if you picture a basket, you're looking into the basket. That's the bottom of the basket.
Oh.
Then we have the Ya, which is short for Yod. It's like a Z slanted. Another line. So that's the Ya. Then we have the Ka. Think like a C. And then another two lines there. So think of it like backwards K. And the La is just the L that we typically see. The Ma, which is Mayum, is water. It's like a W. So you're drawing a W, then you're making a hook. So Ma. And the Na, instead of making 1, 2, 3, like that, it's just two of them. 1, 2. And that Na is Nawan, or a sprout. Then we have the Sa, which is Samak, and it's for establish. The symbol is that 1, 2, 3. So think of your establishing pole. Then you have the Ayin, which is just a circle, which looks like an eye. Then you have the Pa, which looks like a mouth. So think of like your side of your mouth, someone's side. Like mouth. Then you have this Tazah, which is a really unique character. Essentially, draw a line down, and kind of like a Z. So the Tazah. That actually stands for side. So you see like a man laying on his side crouching.
It looks like a line in the sea.
Yeah. It's a line down. So it's Tazah is actually short for Tazad, which means side. So think of a man, it's a man laying on his side.
But what does that mean?
That's right. Tazah. So you have a Pa,
Ra,
right?
Ra.
You have a Ra. This is up.
Yes.
Ra. Okay, so let's draw these characters so we can see what that is. Kwa, short for Kwam. Think of like the sunrise. Right? Kind of see where the Q is formed in English. Kind of looks like a Q if you put it on the side. You have a Ra, which kind of looks like a 4. It's,
That's what it looks like?
yeah, you know, I can draw a number for it. Then you have a Shah, which is short for Shan. First of all, Ra is Ra'ash for head. So see how this is a head?
Uh-huh.
So that's actually what it stands for. So it looks like a head of a person. Then we have Shah, which is a tooth, which is Shan. So when we draw the character, you see it looks like teeth, which is pretty much like our W. It looks like teeth. So that's short for Shan. You see it looks like teeth. And then you have the Thaw, which is the mark. And I think this like X marks this. Or like sideways cross. So that's the mark. So these are the ancient characters. And what's great about this is that every single one of these symbols are unique unto themselves. They don't look like any of the other ones. So when you're learning this, it's almost like a graffiti in a way. Every single character is distinct to itself. So that's why it's a lot easier when you start learning this. You're learning new symbols for the first time. They actually stand for things. They stand for pictures of what they are.
I wanted to say that there's a scripture in the Bible where it says, mark that man.
Mhm.
So would that tie be mark?
That's mark.
Okay.
So that's what it stands for.
Okay.
Fa. That's T-H-A. The sound fa. So that means mark.
Oh.
And I'm going to put the words or what they mean as we break it down on another page because it's a lot of information here. Let me use a different color. So if you want, you can take a picture of this. Because now it's more complete. So this is with the ancient. So you have the sounds with the ancient.
This is perfect.
Okay. Any questions online?
No questions.
Okay. Break the
What was that tuned in?
Shalom, priest. Okay. So now we have the pure language. For space-wise, I'm going to erase the blue now, and we're going to put the modern in the space. I could put, it directly underneath here, but I'd rather draw bigger characters so you can see it, especially online. And also, because some of these modern characters have 2 letters for the same sound, they said when you use a certain character at the end of a word, it has a different symbol, even though it's the same sound. You're gonna get it today. 5 years, you're gonna be master.
Get it.
You're gonna get it today. Because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw the modern. So when you're reading the BibleHub.com or the Tanakh, you're gonna see the modern symbol directly with the sound. And once you have that, all you're doing is you're matching the symbol with the sound, and that's how the language is read.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this here. So these here, unlike the ancient, the modern pictures don't mean anything.
Right.
So you're just making squiggly lines and dashes and things like that of new characters, but they don't represent anything as the ancient. We saw symbols that actually represented things, physical things. In the modern, they're just different symbols and all. When I learned the modern, I found it very helpful that, again, I need to see someone draw these letters. So just seeing it on the sheet, you have the sheet is cool, but it helped me when I saw people physically write it, because it looks so similar, these letters. You need something to help you write them out. So here's the A, or the A sound. So you have one symbol up, one line up, and one line down. So that's the A. So whenever you see your Bible Hub, Tanakh, you see that symbol, that's the A sound. Next, we're going to do the Ba. Which it looks like A10. Okay. Next, we're going to do the Ga, which is the camel. It's like one line down, one line down. Now notice when I do this, you're going to see a bunch of characters look very similar, like how the Ga was first formed. Then it creates another line. Then it has a little lip. And then it's another one down. So it's not as simple as our other one, but you can still see it kind of looks like a camel, but not really. So that's the Ga. Next, we have the Da, which is the door. Draw one line straight across, and then like a squiggly S down. This is very important, this letter, because you're going to see pretty much all the other letters. There's several other letters that look just like that. They start out drawing the same way. So once you see one, wait, I saw this before. Okay? So the next one is the Ha, which starts out the exact same way as the Da. You just draw a line across, and do a squiggly down. All right? And then we're going to do another squiggly down, but we're not going to have it connected. Think about it smaller. You see there's a gap in between there? It's very hard to see when you're on a little tiny piece of paper or doing that. That's why I blow up my phone whenever I do this. So you see it's drawn almost exactly like the Da, line across like the S, line across the S. It's like another S. Okay? Next we have the Wa, which starts out like the Ga. So we have just diagonal line, straight line down. You see it's almost like the beginning of how the Ga was formed. Line down, line diagonal, line down. So that's the Was. Next you have the Za, which I say it's a squiggly S at the top. Okay, and like a squiggly S underneath it. Okay, so that's the Za. Next we have the Cha, which starts off with the da, looks like ha, except this gap right there is filled in. So we're going to draw the ka line across, squiggly line down, and then we're going to do another one. So you see, this is closed, this one's open. Again, when you're looking at something really small in writing, it's hard to distinguish these requirements. Okay. Next, we have ta, which is a basket. Think of this like a sideways view of the basket. Okay. Then we have a ya, a small character. We see it a lot. I'm not going to say it looks like anything. It's just squiggly lines. Then we have the ka, which looks like that with C. Okay. Now, this is the first character that there's two versions of this letter. There's also one that goes like that. So you have two different versions of the same sound. So what appears at the end of the word, use the second.
Oh.
That's the same sound. Use the beginning, the first letters, whatever. Use this one. If you see it at the end of the word, it's a different sound. Totally unnecessary to make it this way, but that's the language that they changed it to. Now we have the la. That's the la. Then you have the ma. Now, the ma has two different symbols also. First one, it's curvature. Okay. And then you draw it like that, it's a little space here. And then there's another squiggly up top. So that's the ma.
Oh, squiggly up top.
Now, when you see this at the end of a word, they use a squarish character. But it's closed. So it's almost like drawing it like a square, but then there's a little diagonal at the end, and it's closed.
Oh.
So that's the two different characters. This in the beginning, middle word, the very last character, they substitute this. Okay. Now we have the na, which looks like this wa. So it's starting the same way. Like line down, line across. Almost looks similar to how the wa is. But then there's another lip to it. I'm kind of crooked. Let me try.
I did it just like that.
Oh, yeah, you got it. I'm trying to make it a little bit better. So when I draw on the board, that's straight. Now, this na is also skinnier than the ka. The reason why I'm also showing this is that the na has a secondary character. Okay, it's not as long as this one, but it looks just like this, but very hard to tell. And it's like long. So when you're looking and reading these words, and it's really tiny on the page, that looks practically identical to that. Except this one is actually longer, and this one is shorter. That's very difficult to pick up and read it. Like, what am I looking at? Looking at that or that? It looks so similar. Okay. Now we have the sa, which is almost like an O or a circle, but it's drawn with the top, round, closed. So this has a little lip at the end. Okay. So in a way, like the ma here, it had this little lip at the end. The sa, it has a little lip at the end here, sticking out. Okay. Next, we have the I, which this looks like a Y. One line down, one line across, one line that way. Then there's a squiggly line here. It's kind of a complicated letter to draw, but try to draw things so you can actually see it. Next, we have the pa, which looks like, I would say, a backwards G in a way. So if you draw it, think of this 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, little L, right? And then you put a C around it. So that's the pa. Now, if it appears at the end of the word, you do the same thing. Create that little L, except the difference is this comes down. And that right there isn't the end of the word. Next, we have the taza. So this is one of the hardest characters to draw. And there's two different versions of them. So watch closely how I do this so you can see my motions. So we have a line across, a line diagonal, then another slanted line, then there's another line that goes across. So it's almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then from there, draw another line up, another curve up there. So it's a lot of motions to create this character. And if it's at the end of the word, it's almost similar to the na in a way, with an extra piece. So it's like this, and probably not
That's
close.
at the end of the word?
Yeah, yeah. Get this straighter here. It's kind of awkward drawing with markers. So sometimes do things like that. You see, it's like this. Piece. So this is what appears at the end of the word. That's the taza. Next, we have the qua, which is like a straight line down, and then curvature. So it's a unique character. Next, we have the ra, which looks like a backwards R. So it seems like it's drawn like this. Again, I'm crooked. Ra. Okay. So it's like a one motion drawing.
It looks like a symbol.
Yeah, that's, and you're going to see when we do the last letter, the tha is the same motion. You're doing the same thing, right? Just like that. Except with this one, you have an extra piece It's connected out like that.
Ah,
So like I said, once you master that motion, to do this other character, you do the same thing, then add another piece to that. Next, we have the sha. Don't forget this one, which was our teeth. Still kind of looks like the W. Line here, line here, line here. So that would be the sha. So when you're reading now the BibleHub.com, you're seeing these letters, now you know the sounds of what they sound like. See the character. So now we take a screenshot of this or take a picture. So you have the modern. This right here is now going to enable you to read the Hebrew. Any questions, sir?
No questions.
No questions. Any questions? This right here, first time I saw this, it's like, it takes a while. It's just repetition. Because you're seeing different symbols, and unlike the ancient, the symbols actually represent something to see. You just don't, they don't look like anything. They're just unique symbols to themselves. So
I want to be read in Hebrew. I can't wait to.
this is the board. This right here is the board to help you read it. Why don't you pull out your BibleHub.com right now and go ahead and let's have you read it. The very first word.
All right. I have the Bible. You talking about Genesis 1:1?
Yes. Sakiadawan, could you post the screen for Genesis 1:1, please? Perfect. So here we go.
Okay.
Let's read the first word. So what is the first symbol?
They
There it is.
were shipped in the beginning.
Right. So what is the first character? It's a ba, right?
Ba.
Right. So that's the ba right here.
Oh, I see what they did. They put a dot in.
Ignore all those dots.
And they put 2 dots at the end.
Yeah, that's them trying to make vowel
A vowel
sounds.
sound.
Just ignore them. That's why you can see up top it has it says veresit.
Embarrassing. Yeah.
There's no vowels E-I-O-U, right? So
Right.
they're trying to make it. That's where this Yiddish is coming from. They're trying to add vowels to this one. So here, say this with me, sis. The first character is up.
Ba.
Okay. Then we have a
Ra.
right. Then we have a
Ah.
right. Then we have a
Sha.
right. Then we have a
Yeah.
right. And then we have a.
Oh, that.
So if you put it all together, it's Bara'ash Yah.
Oh, so you would have to say whatever it really is.
Just
instead of
literally say the
looking
character.
Instead of looking at this. Ah.
So go ahead, say the word.
Okay. Ba.
Uh-huh.
Ra.
Right.
Ah.
Right.
Sha.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ah.
There you go. You're speaking Hebrew.
Okay. So when you look at the symbols, you put the symbols with
Yep, just put the
sound.
symbol with the sound. Let's do the word for they have God or Elohim.
Elohim.
Let's now pronounce it how it's really pronounced. So the first one we have a,
Ah.
huh? Then we have a,
La,
Then we have a,
ha,
right? Then we have a,
ya,
then we have a,
ba,
right. So now notice that it used the second character because the M appeared at the end of it.
yeah.
You see, this is the close. So we have now Allah, ha, ya. Not Elohim. Allah, ha, ya.
Alahaya. Ooh,
Yeah. Got it?
so that's how they say God in Hebrew, Alahaya.
Think it's, all we have is like, if you want to say we have a vowel, think of the sound ah. Everything you're saying is with an ah.
Yeah.
So just, that's why I say this is like, once you know the first one, the main one, every character just sounds an ah, followed on. So instead of an E, an I, an O, or U sound, they don't exist. Just think you have a ah.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's do another one.
How did they get the God's name wrong? And I
Oh,
think putting up
that's-
symbols and stuff to it, right?
There's, we did God here as in, this is Elohim, Ramahayim. Now when we do his name, Hawa, you'll see the 4 characters. You know, so you'll see his name, Yah,
Yeah, how?
Ha, Wa, and then another Ha. Yeah. So this right here is the Most High's name.
Yeah. So
This
why
is
does
the
it have an
reason.
E and the all? Oh, that's the ancient Hebrew.
This is
The
the actual,
Paleo.
this is the actual pronunciation. So
That's in the modern, right? But I'm
this
talking
is in the
about,
modern.
but the Paleo, they got the E, the Z,
Yeah, see what's better.
F.
Symbols and things.
Yeah.
So if we translate from, this is how you read it. So whenever you see this, BibleHub.com, you actually know it's Yah, Ha, Wa. This is very important because this is the reason why I came to the school. The very first day, I saw Captain Kataza outside. I drew this on the board. He brought me into the store. And I was like, how do you say that? I was reading from the Yiddish man's tongue, trying to understand it. And when he said, oh, I was like, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
This is where it all came from. Because it's all the pronunciation of all the sounds.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's so simple when you see the actual sound behind it.
And I'm glad to see you here.
Well,
Thanks for
appreciate you.
coming.
Appreciate you.
And I appreciate you helping me learn.
So you're speaking Hebrew.
Yes, I'm trying.
So you do 2 words. 2 words is a big deal. You have a 3rd word you learned. So actually, you did 3 words.
Yeah.
Now you know how to read. That's all that's to it. Once you know the symbols, match it with the actual sound.
How come you come late, and then you show me better than I was able to learn before? I wasn't able to learn before.
I appreciate that. I had no idea. I never learned this. And when Captain
It
Kata said, I
wasn't
gave
that
you
they
this,
wasn't teaching me, it's just I wasn't able to get it.
I try to break it down to very simplistic terms to get to the root of it and then physically draw it out because these are all the steps it took for me to learn.
Yeah.
You know?
It was just foreign, like a foreign tongue to me that
Mhm.
I couldn't grasp it.
This is
Now I can go home and
now you can read the entire book
yeah.
by pronouncing each one of these letters. So this is a very important screen right here because this is now enabling you to All right. Any questions online? No questions. Okay. All right. So now that we got that down, it's 8:18. Probably got like another half hour. I'm gonna get into prepositions. This is going to be a little bit more advanced. That's the name of this class. But this is good that we spent all this time getting up to this point. Because now that you know what all these are, you're going to see how they're used in words. So now when you read your Hebrew, where you're going to see certain characters at the beginning of a word, you're going to know it's a preposition. And if you see a character at the end of the word,
It's a
possessive.
preposition.
Pre is before, and then you have a possessive adjective after.
Oh, possessive.
So now that we know the symbols, use this. So the unique thing about the Hebrew language is that words, how they're formed, consist of 1, 2, or 3 parts. And that's why we're learning now prepositions and possessives, so you can see how the words are formed. Because when it has all these characters together, it's actually maybe 1, 2, or 3 words in one character or one section, meaning that they're not separated. For example, the first word is in the beginning, right? That's 3 letters or 3 words, but you see how it was written as one word. So now we're going to break that. Clean this board up so it's nice and easy to read online. I'm proud of you, sis. After 5 years, you're not leaving here.
Yes. I wouldn't stop. I was like, I'm coming in, I'm gonna learn Hebrew, and I'm gonna start reading Hebrew.
It's fun. I'll tell you that. The first time they had me read up there, I was like, you had to put me on the spot, right? After college, I was like, yes, as I should. They invite me up, and it was one of the festivals, and the entire room was filled, and they put the book in front of me. They're like, read this. I'm like, and I'm like, I don't know this. And then at the end, I walked up. He's like, I said, you had to put me on the spot, didn't you? It's like,
As he should.
and
I'm on the spot because I'm
You're on
letting
the
you
spot.
know that I've been coming here for 5 years
Mhm.
and I never knew Hebrew.
Now you do.
No matter who was teaching it, it was hard for me to learn it.
Well, if you mastered what I just showed you today, it's really that simple. It's that simple. Now I'm going to show you how words are formed. Okay. So we're going to go into prepositions. Think of this as pre, meaning before. Prepositions slash possessive. Correctly. Prepositions or possessive. Sometimes they call it a possessive adjective. It really doesn't matter if you use this or not, but what you have to know is before, whatever it's called, it's irrelevant. Preposition, think pre comes before, possessive adjectives comes after. Okay? And you'll see that it's not always this way, but words are kind of written. One, we have a preposition. Which goes before a root word. Now, this is very important. There is a root word always in every word that you see. So when you're reading it, you try to find the root word, and then you'll see that sometimes there's a character before it, and then sometimes there's a character after it. The preposition goes before. Second, we have the root word. And then the third part, we have the possessive. Adjective. All of that. But it goes after. After. So unlike English, that one word is standalone, you see that Hebrew words, they're combine things all together. So when you're learning to read, what I'm teaching you now is that you're going to recognize when you see these characters in the beginning of the word, it actually means something. Oh. Then there's an actual word with it, the root, and then sometimes when you see these symbols at the end of the word, might be another symbol. And
give me an example.
Yes. One, and remember, it's written from right to left. Two, be the root word. Three, will be possessive adjective. So whenever you're reading and you see them all together in these letters, think that the first character might be a preposition. Think that the last character might be a possessive adjective, and the other characters in the middle is the actual root. Okay, so that's how it's actually written. Now, what are they? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of these. Let's take a picture of this screen first. I'm about to erase it, so we have a lot of space. This is very important that you understand this concept, because now we're going to actually go into what these words are. And this is solid to your fundamentals in reading the Hebrew. Right? So time check, 8:27. All right, I gotta do this relatively quickly here. So let's do the prepositions. It comes before. So, start with the English, since we all know the sounds in English. Okay. Ah,
Ah,
that's the very first letter. Remember that one?
yes.
That is actually stands for I or I.
Oh, okay.
So when you see an ah in the very first thing of the word, it stands for I or I am. So we have ah. We have an ah. Okay. So that's in the modern, the ancient. There's the so whenever you see that symbol in the very first letter, that can mean I or I. Next, we're going to have ba. That's the second letter. That actually stands for in. What
Are
was the
these the preposition?
preposition? What was the very first word we learned?
Ah.
That was the first letter. What was the first word? Genesis 1:1. Started with ba, right?
Ba.
In the beginning. Ba. In. So that character. Ba. Ba. Okay. It stands for in. Then we have the da. Let me see the da. That stands for do. Or the da, which is triangle. That's David's name. The modern. Do. Then we have ha. When we see a ha, it actually stands for the. Okay. There's the ha. There's the ha. Modern. Next we have the wa. And the wa is and. That's a fish hook. So wa. So wa. Ya. That is he. Yeah. Then we have ka. When you see a ka, it's actually like. Then the other C. That's the ka. Then we have la, which will be two. That's the L. So we see the other C there. La. Then we have ma. That's of. then modern, curvature M, this is the beginning. Then we have Sha. That's pertain. And our Sha is our teeth. So W. Sha. And then we have Tha. So whenever you're reading the very first letter, Tha actually can represent a future tense. And you have, this is the mark, remember the slanted cross. Then you have a something like that. Dot. So there's your prepositions. When you're seeing the very first letter of a word, it actually stands. Okay. Next, we're going to do the when letters appear at the end of the word. 35. Next, we're going to do the possessive adjectives. I'll put them over here. Possessive. So let's say end. Before. Okay. And so split this word up two. So you see, sometimes these same characters, they appear at the end of the word, but they actually mean something different. Which is unique. So we have a Nawa, which is actually two. It's actually two symbols. When we see this at the end, Nawa stands for hour. And you have a na, and then you have a wa. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm also going to show you connectors, so you can see how it's pronounced. So a na, and then a wa. So you see na wa. These are individual sounds. If this was drawn as a connector connecting these two, that would go no. But because they're individual, these connectors, they're represented on their own. So na wa, na wa. So that's what you see, like the Lashawan here. You see how these have these connectors here? So these connectors is that's a singular sound, singular sound. These sounds combined together. These here combined together. These two, it's combined together. These two.
Can you tell me what this says?
Tell me.
Okay, let me know.
In the interest of time, we can go over that a little bit later. I have to cover all of these. Yeah.
Oh, that's 2 minutes.
So I have 10 minutes, so we can cover that. But I want to give you these possessive adjectives. So now we have the ha, right? So this ha is the end, all right, stands for her. So it's at the beginning of a word, the ha is the. If it appears at the end character, go for her. Also going to put na, wa in the modern. So we have the ancient and modern. Now we have the ha, which is her. So it's ha. And then ha. Okay. Then we have the wa.
What's crazy is I don't know how to write.
Yeah, you already know these things. But now how they appear on the word, you actually see, like, you already know the ha symbol, but that stands for the, it's the first character. It's the same symbol here, but it's at the end of the word, it means her. Okay. Wa, in the beginning, stands for and.
It's hard, the end is her.
Right. So this is now when you're putting it all together of how words are formed. So now wa at the end here is his. So we'll put wa. Wa. Okay. Then ya, beginning is he. Ya again. But at the end, it stands for mine. And ka is like in the beginning. If you see a ka at the end, it stands for your. Ka. And now this is the end of the word. So we use the secondary character for ka in the modern. So remember, there's two different symbols for the ka in the modern, but it's at the end of the word, so we use this. Okay. Now we have come. See come. Which actually your, but it's masculine. Plural. So when you're talking to men, you see that. So kam is actually two letters. So we have ka, then we have ma, but they're connected to make kam. And then in modern, we have a ka, then we have a ma, and we're using the secondary character that appears at the end of the word, which is to close. So that's ka. Now see, these connectors make things really obvious how to pronounce it in the ancient. But when you're reading the modern, it doesn't have them. You have no idea what does it say. Does it say nawa or no? Does it say kama or come? You don't know. That's why our ancient really makes it distinct. All right, 3 more to go. So we have kam, then we have kan, ka and n. And this is your feminine. So speaking to ladies. So this will be ka, and then a na for kan. Then we have a ka, and then in the modern, we use the secondary character because it's at the end of the word. You see this kan means your, if you speak to females, a group of females. Next we have is ham, which is there. That would be masculine, plural. That would be a ha. And then a ma. Ham. And then ha. Steve. And the last one, the Han, which is there. Feminine. Na. Han. Ha. Na. And Han. Okay. We did it. Let's take a picture, screenshot of this. Any questions online, sir?
You ain't get the no question.
Let's take a picture of this. So now you learn the individual characters. Now you also know that the characters mean something at the beginning of the word, stands for something. At the end of the word, it stands for something too. So when you're looking at a word and you're putting things together, just see if you can interpret the very first letter, because it might be one of these. Then look at the very last letter, it might be one of these. And the words in the middle is actually the root word. So that's how you put the words together.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And with that, I am Priest and Officer Sha'afon, holding the Hebrew class down for Officer Hazahav. I'd like to say, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Hawashai Barakatham to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alafan Ba'Hashem Hawashai to the sisters. And that will be a wrap. Thank you.